None of the females have been able to carry a pregnancy to full term. They're nervous all the time now, and I can't prove anything, but I do know my animals, and I really felt something was wrong. All the years we've had them, we never had a problem. At night, the herd shelters in a large metal shed behind the works home. When the turbines are loud, Ann says the sound echoes inside the shed, and the metal vibrates and hums. The noise in here gets just unbelievable. When it starts to vibrate in here, they can't stand it. I have to find them a better home. This is torture for them. The same turbine noise has driven Ann out of her own bedroom. I can't stand to be in that room anymore. I don't sleep at all. My sleep has been terrible. Instead, she sleeps on the couch where a fan on their pellet stove helps counter the turbine noise. My number one complaint is how tired I am all the time, says Ann. I never had that before, ever. Says Jason, we don't have air conditioning. We didn't want it and we didn't need it. In the summer, we just opened the windows and let cross breeze cool the house. But the first summer with the turbine noise, we had to shut the windows and turn on the fan. We couldn't stand it. After one of the children was recently diagnosed with a severe stress-related illness, the Wirtzes decided they'd had enough. They decided the health of their family was more important than keeping their home, and they are abandoning it. Now, after all the trouble we've had living here, said Ann, if a family showed up and wanted to buy the place and they had kids, I don't think I could sell it to them. Knowing what I know about living here, I just don't think I could put another family through this. They are now looking for a place in a nearby village. We were born and raised in the country, but we're thinking of moving to Oakville because they aren't going to plot a 400-foot turbine in the middle of the village, says Jason. And I know I'm going to have to drive by this place every day on my way to work. It's going to make me sick to see it, but I just can't stay here anymore. I just want to, I know that you guys just make recommendations, but you have one chance to get this right. Just one chance. You need to consider the health, safety, and welfare of the constituents of this county. I can't speak for Ryga. I have been out door to door often, and I can tell you, people were greeting me at my car to sign petitions about making sure that there's proper setbacks, decibel noise levels, things like that. The people do not want this. They do not want them. And I told them, we can't stop them, but the best we can do is put some criteria to protect us. I thank you for your time.
Any commission have any questions?
Jim Leonard, raised in the Center Highway, Adrian, Tallmeyer Township. Chairman of Tallmeyer Township Planning Commission. Could I see a show of hands of who's been to a wind farm?
Who's what?
Been to a wind farm? I'm not for or against it. I'm frustrated because we'll have experts from Washington, D.C., and one will say something about this will work. The other expert on the other side of town says it won't work. Where do we get unbiased information? How do we get unbiased information from this commission when you're going to get most of the tax, most of the property tax? You'll get 85% of it between you and ISD. Township will only get about 10% of it, whether it's Ryga.
You don't mean us.
County.
Good.
You guys are working for the county, you know. So this is my frustration. Ryga has spent thousands of dollars on lawyers and meetings, and we're starting to do the same thing. And this is just so frustrating. And I'm an owner of a farm, and I have a business. I'm afraid it affects my business too, because there's people that don't even want to give us opinions because they're afraid to do it. I had an insurance man come and he says, I don't know if I should come because I don't know whether it's going to affect my business. And I said, you know, I'll try to protect you. I just want some honest information. Where are you getting your honest information? From the state? I don't know if we can trust them.
Are you asking where they
Yeah, yeah, where do you get your information?
Everywhere we can, everywhere it's available.
Yeah. You know,
Both sides.
okay, well,
The ayes and the noes.
I would like to find a neurologist. I would like to find as much information as I can, because I don't want to harm my neighbors, but I also want to have the right to choose. But I don't think you guys can. I've been talking to my board, and I talked to people at my meetings, and I don't think you guys should make a informed decision unless you've been up there.
All right. Thank you.
Josh Van Camp, 3883 Bike Road, Jasper, Ogden Township resident. Just a moment ago, Dr. Leonard talked about trying to find unbiased information or trying to evaluate information. And where do you find that information? And unfortunately, I don't think in this process there's a shortcut. It requires that each one of these governing bodies, whether it be the townships or these planning commissions, look at both sides, look at the information that's available, weigh, evaluate, look at the motives behind the information, look who stands to gain the most financially. I posit that residents, there's been a large contingent of residents that have come out in opposition to the project in the sense that responsible siting needs to be evaluated. The people that are involved, the IICC in particular, has been very active in trying to protect residents. They're guaranteed a 100% negative return. They're never going to make money off of this. They're just trying to maintain what they have. I look at, the comment was made earlier tonight about the 14th Amendment and making sure that everyone's protected equally. I've been up to the NPSC meetings and seen the Wind Health Impact Subcommittee talk about the guidelines. The state issued guidelines that you mentioned here 3 years ago. Those guidelines proved to be very problematic and should be basically disregarded. Even now, the physicians on the board, and the board consists of, I think, currently 6 people. You've got 2 people with medical backgrounds. You have a representative from the wind industry's lobbying organization. You have someone from the NPSC sitting on the board. You actually have one of our local developers sitting on the NPSC board that's developing state regulations, Cliff Williams of Orosol, as well as a retired person from Consumer. So those are the 6 people creating regulations that are going to help guide the safety and the health and welfare of our residents. I would say that the information is going to tend to lean towards the developers. But that being said, the physicians on that board here in the last 2 weeks said anything above 40 decibels and we're kicking the can down the road. And that's because of the problems in particular with nighttime sleep disturbance. I think the rider ordinance tried to compromise a little bit of that and allow louder daytime operation and then try to tone it down at night when the sleep disturbance occurs. As far as protecting the people, the arguments made as far as the farmers being able to make money, I would say that to me that seems somewhat unfair in that I moved out to the country. There are many other people in my situation that work professionally in Adrian or Toledo that bought those homes from farmers. So farmers have made money off of those parcels already, and now they're expected, those residents are expected to grant, basically, as stated earlier, these free nuisance easements across the property. It just doesn't seem right. They've already made the money off of us once. And so with that being said, I'd encourage you to observe the IIC recommended 35 decibels. If that's not possible, at least stick with what the people in Ryder who have spent the most time researching and debating this issue have come up with, and stick with that and respect those decisions at a local level. Thank you.
Thank you.
As tall as everybody else. My name is Chris Holahan. I live at 5962 Secluded Court in Sylvania, Ohio. recently referred to as one of the outside agitators in Riga. Some of us Sylvania folks continue to come up and kind of poke our nose around a little bit because I've heard comments tonight about respecting the non-participating homeowners, respecting those who don't have a choice. The first meeting that I went to involved one of the developers standing in front of the group in Riga indicating that they do a lot of due diligence to make sure that they do not site these projects near highly populated residential areas. And it occurred to me, apparently they did not pull out an Ohio map when they were citing this project. They only looked at a Michigan map. Obviously, the tax revenue generated by this, if there is any, is only going to be in Michigan, not in Ohio. I've heard comments about being a good neighbor. Follow me through this real short mental exercise, because we keep talking about all this stuff as if it exists over here. Internalize this for me just for a second. You don't have to go to a wind farm. You don't have to do anything else. I presume you have been in downtown Toledo. I presume you know the tallest building down there is that big glass structure, currently with a Fifth Third emblem on top of it. Just humor me. Picture yourself standing at the base of that. Turn around, walk 1 block away. Turn back around and look up. And imagine the top of it rotating. And then imagine that you're sitting on your front porch. Because that structure has been built that close to your home with a 1 to 1.5 height requirement. And now further imagine you put your home on the market. And somebody comes into your neighborhood and you have that kind of structure rotating that close to your home, and those people looking to buy your home aren't going to say to that realtor, what else we got there? What else can we got? That's why the Sylvania Township trustees have repeatedly asked for a 2-mile setback from the state line. There are going to be hundreds of homeowners whose property values are going to drop. There are going to be hundreds of homeowners who are going to feel the effects visually, physically, and they don't get any tax benefit off of this at all. None. That's not being a good neighbor. If that's the definition of a good neighbor, whew, I don't want to see the definition of a bad one. We're asking for some reasonable setbacks, not 1 to 1.5. We're asking for a 2-mile setback for those of us that have absolutely nothing to benefit from this project, only to lose. Please consider suggesting a 2-mile setback from the state line for those of us who don't have anything else in this other than to lose.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
a 2-mile setback, would that be possible in the township of Riga, for instance?
Possible if they write it in there. Why is it?
No.
I don't follow you.
Can you get 2 miles from one of the homes, in any direction?
Oh, I'm asking from, let me re-clarify. The Sylvania Township trustees have asked for a 2-mile setback from the state line.
State line?
Yes, going north into Riga Township.
And you're saying that there should be a 2-mile setback from Michigan line?
From the Michigan-Ohio line, correct, where none of the turbines are built within a 2-mile area or border, buffer zone, if you will, from the Ohio-Michigan line. And strongly reconsider this 1 to 1.5 time height requirement ridiculous. Nobody think about that. That size structure spinning that close to your house that your neighbor installed. You didn't. Is that a good neighbor?
See, what I'm thinking is that even though you get the 2-mile setback from the state line, you're not going to be 2 miles from any edifice in that area, right? Is it possible, my question is it possible to get a 2-mile setback anywhere in Riga that it would be 2 miles from some edifice, from some home, Would that, you think that would be possible?
From any of the participating homeowners, to a point, I don't know that, if it's written in, to a point where, again, I'm not being coy, but why would it matter? If they're basically saying, look, we're going to build these things, but we're going to give a buffer zone from the state line of 2 miles, and we won't build anything in that 2-mile buffer zone. If that precludes a couple of the leaseholders from actually having a turbine on their property because they are within that 2-mile buffer zone, somebody else made the comment, hey, some people win, some people lose, right? Majority rules.
Difficult question.
Thank you.